Welcome to the Best 5-Minute Wine Podcast. I'm your host, Forrest Kelly. From the seed to the glass, wine has a past. Our aim at the Best 5-Minute Wine Podcast is to look for adventure at wineries around the globe. After all, great minds think alike. Let's start the adventure. Our featured winery is... We continue our conversation with Tommy Welford, General Manager of Duchman Family Winery in Driftwood, Texas. Tell me a little bit about how the tastings and tours work.
So when you make a reservation, you will come in. It's a stand-up bar. We do have seating if somebody is unable to stand or is uncomfortable if somebody stands, but there is 6 wines that is pre-selected. And then you'll have a personal attendant that will take care of you and walk you through all of the wines. That's just our regular tasting. And then we do offer an option called a private tour and tasting. So that starts off per person, and then you'll book that at least 7 to 10 days in advance. And then you'll go through my wine club manager, who's also the director of hospitality here. She will set you up, and then you'll have your own private bartender / servant. And then they'll sit you down at a table, fully linen, like a little bit more on the higher end of things. It starts off with either a cheese and charcuterie plate, which is nicely done by our in-house chef. And then you'll have those 6 wines as well, but you'll be self-guided, and it's still the 6 wines, but halfway through those wines, you'll get a personal tour of our actual facility. They'll take you in the back and show you and explain to you how our wine is made and produced here. And then you'll go into the barrel room, which is really nice. And also when it's Texas summer, it's also 50 degrees back there, so feels really good as well. But you take a nice little photo op, and then you head back to your private table and then finish off the taste.
Do you have a vineyard on the property?
There is a vineyard when you drive up, but when we split the restaurant and the winery, as I mentioned before, the restaurant got that vineyard.
What kind of tour options are available?
The classic tour that you would reserve online is we give you a 45-minute window for that. It usually takes about 30, depending on the questions that the guest may have, depending on how intricate they want to get into it. But we allow up to 45 minutes, but it's common for a 4-top to be finished within 30.
Okay.
And then our our private tour and tasting, we allow for, depending on the size, we have one right now actually going, a bachelorette party, which is 12 ladies. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half-ish. But we also have one coming up on Monday that's 50 people. So obviously we're going to allow about 2.5 hours for that.
I can only imagine. I've seen the movie Bridesmaids, and I can only imagine when you get all those ladies celebrating at a winery. It's game on.
It is. We since we're so close to Austin, I feel like Austin is the bachelorette hub. Everybody from all over the United States goes to Austin, and then they look for things to do. And every Saturday, it doesn't fail that we'll get about 4 to 5 bachelorette parties in here at one time, and it is a lot of fun.
To take the tour and to sample, when the customer comes up into the parking lot, can you describe what that might look like?
Once you turn off of FM 150, which is the road we're off of, you'll pull into this driveway. It's a kind of a nice grand entrance where it has the restaurant's name on one side and it'll say Duchman Family Winery on the other. And you'll cross through a big gate and then starts about a 1/4 mile long driveway, which you will see on the right-hand side that the vineyard that we're speaking of right now. And it kind of goes all the way down for that full quarter mile. And then right on your left after that, you will notice a beautiful restaurant, which is an Italian restaurant to your left. And then if you just keep driving just a little bit past that, you'll see these giant oak trees. And then you pass under those, and then you come into the Duchman Family Winery side. And you will look to your left, and you'll see a very, very large building that looks almost like it's meant to be in Tuscany, Italy. It's built after a villa, actually, from Tuscany. So it's a great-looking building. We have a beautiful lawn out front. And then you walk through the archways, and then you'll be right inside with nothing but beautiful fieldstone all over the walls. And to your left is your tasting room.
I imagine that you get a lot of people after they experience just a tasting and a tour that they think, oh boy, I should have booked my wedding here.
You know, we do get a lot of those people that just randomly walk in just for a tasting, and they see that we have a 4,000 square feet event center. They all like to look at it, and we have these packets already ready for them. So we do book a lot of weddings and rehearsal dinners and also corporate events too, just last minute because they didn't know we even existed.
Thank you for listening. I'm Forrest Kelly. This episode of the Best 5-Minute Wine Podcast was produced by iHizzle. If you like the show, please tell your friends and pets and subscribe. Until next time, pour the wine and ponder your next adventure.
This is Doug Vincent with the podcast Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories. In 1956, I contracted polio. Thanks to my loving parents, I've lived a full, rich life over the past 67 years. Join me as I share my journey and uncover inspiring stories of resilience. This podcast is a platform for survivors of disability and those who champion services for the disabled community. Tune in on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Let's walk and roll together on this incredible journey of strength and empowerment.